What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Dakar Desert Rally, and in this video I want to go over what I think is probably the best class in the game to use, well, at least when it comes to physics and or like overall the handling model in the game as well, because I think a lot of players are probably not liking how some of the vehicle classes work, which honestly I really can't blame you on that, and how some of the vehicle classes are working at the moment with the physics and the handling, which I might make a separate video on that. I would say a lot of players might be looking for like one good vehicle class to go through most of the game with all the stages and events. So for me guys, I'm going to have to say the trucks are probably going to be your best bet overall, which I have been noticing. Other YouTubers have talked about this as well, and I also did see a post on Reddit about this saying that basically the trucks are probably going to be the best feeling class in the game when it comes to driving physics and pretty much handling, which is kind of weird to think about considering many of the other vehicle classes are probably not going to be all that fun. I personally have been also enjoying the trucks a lot because they do feel very planted. One of my favorite things about them is the fact that when an AI hits you, because I notice when using pretty much every other vehicle class that when the AI hits you, you're probably going to end up spinning out and or crashing as well. I noticed when using like the bikes or something like that, I'd get hit by an AI and crash. I would then spawn back in, another car would run into me, and this happens in pretty much every vehicle class in the game, which they are looking into how the AI work and all that, and they're apparently working on a fix for that, because I think we can all agree the AI really are maniacs at times. And if you guys have been running the trucks, you're probably having a great time with the fact that if the AI run into you, normally the trucks are not going to budge in any way because they are so big. And one of my favorite things about these trucks as well is the fact that they handle so good. So it really does depend on which truck you guys actually want to use. I believe the truck is called the KAMAZ 43509, which is probably one of the best trucks in the entire game, which I might make a separate video for that truck in the future. It's honestly an incredible vehicle to use. The way this thing feels planted when going around a turn, the brakes are going to be really good and pretty much everything about it. I managed to get this vehicle out of one of those like lottery things at the end of one of the events. So if you guys have that opportunity, I highly recommend getting that truck. It's definitely well worth it. And using this thing on a lot of the events, I can tell why this thing is so good, because the way these trucks feel when they're planted, as I mentioned before, which I do think are going to make the trucks a lot more enjoyable for many players, because if you are just getting into this game, or maybe you're trying to get used to how the physics and the handling works, I would say the trucks are probably going to be your best option. I've been having a great time with them. Now obviously they can still spin out depending on the one you might use, but I noticed using something like the KAMAZ, this truck rarely spins out on pretty much everything. It always grips around turns, and even the braking on it feels right. It's kind of odd to me how the trucks feel the best in the game. I feel like out of every single class, they're definitely going to be the best and probably the funnest option to use for many players, and it's kind of odd how they do feel the most realistic if you really want to do say that about Dakar Desert Rally. I would say a lot of players are going to argue that this game's more arcadey, which obviously most racing games are nowadays, and I kind of was expecting that, but even if the game is arcadey, it could still be a lot of fun, and having something like that will make the game a lot more enjoyable, and I feel like a lot of players might be looking for like one class they can really enjoy in the game, and I really do feel like the trucks are probably going to be the best option. I was honestly not expecting that when playing Dakar, because I have used every single vehicle class a good amount of time now, and I would say the trucks are honestly still a blast to use. Now, one thing I do want to mention though is I'm not saying every class in the game is going to be terrible, because I'm still having a great time running like the cars and the bikes as well. Even the side-by-sides seem to be a pretty good time, even though their handling and physics are definitely going to feel kind of off and kind of weird to many players, I would say. And if I had to guess, I would also say that many of the players have probably experienced a lot of the vehicles spinning out for no reason. It's almost like once they go into like an oversteer, like a death spin type of thing, there's really no way to fix that said car from getting out of that. I notice this a lot with the bikes and the ATVs. Now, you could sometimes get away from that depending on how you might turn, but if you guys go around a corner too quick or something like that, or maybe turn a little bit too much, the car is going to spin out. I noticed depending on the car you might run, it's going to be really hard to get away from that. And when using the trucks for a while, I noticed these vehicles spin out the least. But one thing I do want to mention is depending on what truck you guys might be running, I noticed those can also spin out pretty fast as well. For example, the Daft truck that was in the classic one from the pre-order on this game, I noticed depending on how you might go around a corner with that truck, it can definitely sometimes spin out, but that's probably the characteristics of how that truck is designed, and obviously how it's going to be like balanced out in some way, which I can definitely understand that to a certain extent. But if you are looking for like the best overall truck in the class to use, I would highly recommend the KAMAZ 43509. I feel like that truck is going to be an absolute blast. It really does make me laugh, the fact that the way these trucks go around the corners, or the way they brake, or maybe the way they go over jumps and all that, really do feel like they are the best in a way, and I'm also having a great time running them. But let me know in the comments below, what class is your favorite and why, guys? I feel like the trucks really are going to be the best overall, but if you guys have been noticing weird physics and handling with the other classes, I might end up making a video about that in the future, because I feel like a lot of players are probably not happy with the overall like physics and the handling model on the car, which I really cannot blame you on that. A lot of things do feel kind of off, and from a lot of things I have seen, the trucks are definitely going to be the best overall option to use if you guys are looking for like the most realistic and the most non-spin outy type of class, I guess you could say, in the game there. Which you could most likely fix some of that with tuning the vehicles a little bit more, but even then I feel like the bikes shouldn't oversteer and or spin out around some of the turns the way that they do. Even the cars and or the ATVs plus the side-by-sides do it as well, and as I did mention earlier, you could probably do it with some of the trucks depending on the one that you might use. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, because I really do feel like every class is a lot of fun, but some are definitely going to be better than others and probably give you a better experience overall on the car, which is probably what many players are probably searching for.